Bible study. Today we'll be teaching on the generous spirit works wonders. Before we get started, there's some scriptures that I want you to write down because we're going to touch on those towards the end. The first one being Psalms 37 and 21. That's Psalms 37 and 21. Timothy chapter 6, verse 17 through 19. Timothy 6, verses 17 through 19. Deuteronomy 15 and 10. 2 Corinthians 9 and 11. Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Okay? A generous spirit works wonders because it reshapes the heart, loosens the grip of selfishness and fear, and opens a deeper experience of love, joy, and connection with God and others. Generosity is described as a doorway to inner freedom, happiness, and spiritual growth. Spiritually, generosity is more than giving money. It is a posture of open-handedness with time, attention, forgiveness, encouragement, and material resources. Many religions describe this as selfless giving. The Buddhists called it dana. The Jewish call it tzedakah. Selfless giving that flows from compassion and a desire for others' good rather than from obligation or image. Sometimes you would do things in life out of obligation, but in that, the obligation ends up being an act of love or kindness. And don't get it, in this context, obligation is sometimes you'll hold a grudge, you'll do it grudgingly or just doing it like I don't really want to do it, but I'm just doing it because I just think, that I'm gonna get something back from what I'm doing or your image to make you look good in front of people that you deem that are worthy to see what you're doing. And that's not any kind of way godly. You have to understand that in this, it's a walk with Jesus, walking in his footsteps. But the only way you can walk in Jesus' footsteps is if you see the imprints in the ground in order to walk. And you say, how do I see them? By getting into the word, getting that understanding. Because if Jesus don't leave imprints, how can you follow? Amen. Generosity is often understood as aligning your heart with God's own generous nature. So giving becomes a way of sharing in God's character and purpose. As you trust that you can give and still be provided for, faith is strengthened, and many people say that they feel closer to God and more aware of divine guidance. A generous spirit can heal relationships, build communities, and become a channel of comfort, provision, and hope for others. This creates a kind of spiritual ripple effect. Your giving inspires gratitude, faith, and furthers generosity in others. multiplying the good far beyond the original act. And you say, how do you create cultivate a generous spirit? Take baby steps. Start with small things, consistent acts of kindness, especially in hidden ways that do not seek praise. You know, we like to get acknowledgement for the things that we do, but sometimes God just wants you to just do it in secret, because He's going to reward you openly. He always does. I've never seen it fail. Give from a place of prayer or intention, asking to reflect divine generosity rather than guilt or pressure. Practice not just practice releasing not just possessions, but also grudges, harsh judgment, and indifferences, so that your whole inner life becomes more open and giving. Psalms 37:21, and this is out of the NIV version, because in all I get understanding. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. This Bible verse about giving reminds us that the righteous give to others generously. The opposite of this dynamic is one in which people borrow and decline to repay those who have helped them. And you know how we are about our money. You know, we can borrow money, and just because that person have to let you borrow, or they have what you consider an abundance, doesn't mean they don't want to be paid back. They helped you in a time of need. So be kind and repay it. That's a lesson for a lot of us. Timothy 6:17-19 says, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain. I'm going to say that again. Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, which is certain, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life. Deuteronomy 15:10 says, give generously to them and do so without a grudging heart. Then because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in everything you put your hand to. In being a blessing to others, we sometimes forget how God can and will bless us in return. Among Bible verses about giving to the poor, Deuteronomy reminds us of the importance and impact that giving can have in our lives, in our own lives, and spiritual walks. 2 Corinthians 9:11 says, you will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. Generosity offers us an opportunity to also be grateful for what we have. Some of us, we get things and we're not appreciative. I myself have fallen into that. I remember I used to work when I worked at the hospital. I the Lord blessed me and my wife with about 3 cars, two motorcycles, and all of that was sitting in the yard. And I was on my way home. I was riding my motorcycle from work, and I was just saying, God, you know what? I don't have this. I don't have that. And as soon as I turned the corner on my block, the Lord started dealing with me right then, just as good as I could get it out of my mouth. And he said, but what about the house that I provided for you? What about the food that I provided for you? What about these cars that you have? What about this motorcycle that you're driving? What about your helpmate that I've provided you with? These things I've given to you in order for you to be responsible and to be charitable to others. Because you have excess, then be a blessing to somebody else. Don't be so focused on yourself. I've given you much, and much is required. These things are sometimes hard for us to understand because we live in that world where I want to get this, I want to get that. We want a new car when the car that we're driving is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But because you see somebody else driving a new car, that's the only reason why you want it. My daughter, she said to me yesterday, she said, you know, I'm appreciative of a paid for car. And I thought to myself, now that is wisdom, to understand, to be thankful for what you have. Because a lot of people don't even have a car to drive, or they're struggling with a car note, or a house note, or whatever the case may be. And Matthew 6:1-4 says, so when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what you have done in secret will reward you. This Bible verse about giving to others encourage believers not to trumpet their own giving. So when you help the poor and those in need, do so without making it a point to brag about what you've done or overly discuss it with friends and loved ones. Some things just don't need to be discussed with everybody. If you do something for me, I appreciate it. There are certain things that people will do for you, and you want to give them their flowers while they're alive. Appreciate them. Or if you're the one that's been a blessing, just thank God that you were able to do it. It's just that simple. Don't try to make it so grand that you lose out on your actual blessing. Because people, what they think about you, guess what? That fades away. But what God thinks about you, now that's the everlasting. Because that determines a lot of things of where you end up. Pay attention. I know, one day I was out, and this is just one of the, one of the aspects of giving, and this was time giving. I was in my backyard raking leaves, and Pastor, he came, and me and him was talking, and he picked up a rake as well, and he started helping me rake leaves. We began to talk, and when he left, I thought to myself, now he didn't have to do this, but he gave me his time, and it made me appreciate him that much more because I understand he did it out of love. He didn't say, you owe me or anything. He just did it. I said that to say this. We have to lead by example. And sometimes it may seem like what you do goes unnoticed. But as long as God notices it, that's all that matters. Because that's where, people, we get it wrong. We think that we got to be acknowledged by everybody that's around us. When God says, no, keep it to yourself, because whatever you give out, whatever you put out, I got it. And I can give you more. So I just want to say, if I didn't say it then, thank you, Pastor. That concludes this Bible study. And if you're looking for a church home, please consider us. It's Pleasant View Ministries at 1117 North Palm Street. And if you want to be a candidate for baptism, we'll be more than happy to baptize you and get you into a relationship with God. We have many teachers. We have our Sunday school, which starts at 10 o'clock. We have Sunday service, which starts at 11. We have watch care. So if you're a college student and you're out of town, hey, join the church. Get back in communion with God. Just because you're out of your state or out of your town, you can join here or somewhere. Keep the fellowship going. Or if you just want to stop by just to hear the word of God, you're more than welcome. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in. And till next time.